Here's your Daily 10. Calculator Video 3. Make sure you pause the video and attempt the questions before you actually watch the solutions. So here's your first question. Here what we need to do is combine the two vectors that we've got written here. This is simply just doing two calculations, one using the numbers at the top, one using the numbers at the bottom. So for the top we need to do -4 take away -5. We're using the rules of negative numbers. Taking away a negative is exactly the same as adding that number on. So at the top it's just the same as saying -4 plus 5, which is 1. On the bottom we need to do -7 take away 3. We start at -7, take another 3 away, gets us down to -10. So we need the vector 1 minus 10, which is just here. Here's your next question. So here we've got a right angle triangle. We've got information to do with sides and angles. So this tells me it's going to be a trigonometry question. So the first thing we need to do is label up the information that we've got. So 12 is the hypotenuse, because it's the side that does not touch the right angle. Over here we've got the opposite side, based on the angle that we're given. So with opposite and hypotenuse, if we refer to SOHCAHTOA, O and H are here together, therefore are linked with sin. So we've got the little formula, sin 20 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, so 12. To rearrange that to try and find the opposite side, because it's the number at the bottom of the denominator, we need to multiply these two together. Okay, so we do 12 times sin 20, which if you type into your calculator, 12 times sin 20 gives us an answer of 4.10 to 2 decimal places, which is our value of x. Here's your next question. Here we've got a ratio question. It's saying that the number of students in a class is somewhere between 25 and 35, and it's given us a ratio of boys to girls. First thing I'm going to do is just write out that ratio again, so 4 to 7. Now if there were 4 boys and 7 girls, altogether in that class there are 11 students. I know for well therefore that this isn't the correct ratio. So all I'm going to do is going up in multiples of 4 for the boys, 7 for the girls, until I find a pair of numbers that work. If there were 8 boys and 14 girls, that gives us 22 students altogether, which isn't between 25 and 35. So I'm going to add the ratio on again and just keep going up in the multiples of 4 for the boys, going up in multiples of 7 for the girls, to give us this. 12 boys, 21 girls, altogether that's 33 students. Now that's the number that we're looking for because it's between 25 and 35. So when it says how many students are in the class, the total must be 33. Here's your last question for this video. A slightly longer, trickier question to have a go at. So here we've been asked to show that we can simplify all of this into just one single fraction without any brackets. Now brackets is the key here. We can't simplify any of these fractions because of the fact that there is no single term in each fraction that I can divide every single bit by. So what we are going to do, and what we would always do in questions like this, is factorise. Now we've got a lot of steps to do, so we're going to take them one at a time if we can. So if we start with this first fraction, 2w plus 4, even though it's not got much there, I'm still going to factorise it because it might be useful. So for this one, it's going to be a single bracket because there are no squared terms. So it's a single bracket. I can take 2 onto the outside because 2 is a factor of both bits. If 2 goes on the outside, 2 times w makes the 2w, and it'd be plus 2 to make that 4. At the bottom of that fraction, we've got w squared minus 25. Now this is a special case scenario. This is known as a difference of two squares. Because w squared is obviously a squared thing, 25 is a squared number, that I know must be a double bracket. And what we get is w at the start to create the w squared, 5 and 5 multiplied together to make 25, but if you notice there's no term in the middle of those with w. The reason being, one of these is plus, one of these is minus. So when you were to multiply these two brackets out, the plus 5w and the minus 5w would cancel each other out. So I've done the first fraction. The next fraction on top, well, that's pretty much as simple as it possibly can be. So all I'm going to do, just to help myself visualise it, because I said I was putting brackets in everything, is actually just put it in a bracket. Then I'm going to do the same with the bottom. So here, because we've got a w squared, some w's and a number, I know for well that has to be a double bracket. Little rule, if there's 3 terms, it's going to be a double bracket. Well, to make the w squared, I need a w at the start of each one. I then need a number that multiplies together, or 2 numbers that multiply together to make 2, but add together to make positive 3. Well, the only combination we've got there is plus 1 and plus 2. The final section, although it's already in a bracket, I can actually split that down again. So we've got 3w squared minus 16w plus 5, so I'm going to change this into a double bracket. Now, because it says 3w squared, I need 2 things that times together to make 3w squared. It's going to have to be 3w and w. I then need 2 numbers that times together to make 5. Now the only combination we've got here is 1 and 5. But the difficulty with these brackets is finding out which one goes in which of the brackets. Now to a certain extent it's a little bit of trial and error. I'm going to try 1 in this one and 5 in this one. Well, if you were to imagine when we multiply these 2 brackets out, 3w times w would get us 3w squared. We would then do 3w times 5 to give us 15w, and 1 times w to just give us w. Can we use 15w and w to make this minus 16 here? Well, yes, we can. We would need to have that being a minus and that also being a minus. So because we want minus 15w, we've got to make the 5 a minus. Because we want this to create a negative thing, we put a little minus in there. What we've now got is 3 separate elements that we need to try and simplify. We can cross off brackets on the top and bottom of the fractions, but the fact that this isn't a fraction might be a little bit confusing. So what you can do, if you want, is just join all of this together, because remember, multiplying fractions simply means multiply all the things on the top together. So w plus 5. Because this isn't a fraction, it is effectively over 1. These would go onto the top to give us all of this on the top of our big fraction, and on the bottom we've got w plus 5, w minus 5, and these two here. So now we can start simplifying, so crossing off brackets that appear on the top and on the bottom. Well, we've got a w plus 5 on the top and the bottom, w minus 5 appears on top and bottom, w plus 2 to leave us with this. So we're now left with 2 and 3w minus 1 on the top, over, and just w plus 1 at the bottom. Now just one additional step, one small thing. It did say we wanted to put the answer to simplify to something like this, where it has no brackets in. So all I'm going to do on top is just multiply out this little bracket now. So 2 times 3w will be 6w. 2 times minus 1 will give us minus 2 on top. And at the bottom there's nothing to multiply out, so I'm just going to write it without the bracket.